Hello everyone and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons. And you know, I did say I was going to show a lot more of my mistakes in this playthrough moving forward. And oh boy, there was a lot of them last episode. Oh my goodness. So let's begin today's episode by addressing those. But first of all, I was just running around the base a bit, trying to put together a list of projects that we have ongoing. The first of which is to rebuild the platinum line, which is not going to be on the cards for today. I've been messing around here a bit between episodes, and I did manage to kickstart a few of the machines. So, although this system is slow, we should start to trickle in a bit of platinum and iridium, which is good. We're going to need a lot of that. Another project that we have is to upgrade auto-crafting. I want to also upgrade the speed that we can process ores, which means crafting lots and lots of machines here. We have to move over the rest of fluid storage, move the machines which process the crops, and finally the last big project is to move the AE controller and to do a full rewire of this spaghetti mess, which is something we're going to be doing today. Finally, right? And my thinking is that if we have the controller rebuilt, then it's going to allow us to also construct an area to put it in, because that's also very important. We need a big, grand place to have the Applied Energistics controller, and I want it to be epic in the new base. And then from there, we can construct an area for auto-crafting, and we can upgrade these machines, and we can use our upgraded auto-crafting capabilities to craft more machines in ore processing, and then, yeah, we can basically snowball from there. Alright, so where did it all go wrong last episode? Well, a bunch of different places, but the first thing we have to fix today is this Lapitronic supercapacitor. So last episode when we added more turbines, we added another input line here, the white line. And I mistakenly put on a dynamo hatch here. Dynamo hatches is to extract energy, and this is an input line, so it's actually doing nothing. In fact, it's sending energy to the turbines, which is the exact opposite of what we want. It should actually be a 16 amp IV energy hatch. Oops. Okay, and now the turbines are still crafting. They're actually crafting as we speak. So we'll get those placed in at a later stage of this episode. The second thing we have to fix over here, and it's kind of related to something we done last episode, is to fix the farming station here, which is farming us spruce logs. And we do have a big buffer of 2 million, but I noticed this is normally capped at 4 million, which is a full super chest. We need the logs as a primary input for the fuel system to make benzene. Remember, we switched out some of the fluid P2Ps here on the output to dual interfaces. And we also moved the primary storage of benzene over to the new base, and also removed the fluid P2P. However, the way this farming station gets its fuel is with these two MV gas turbines, and these are being supplied benzene via the Applied Energistics system. I noticed this was a fluid P2P, so we're going to have to switch this out with a dual interface at the very least. Actually, let's make it a big dual interface here, and we can request benzene in here, and that should be sent on the conduits. Oh yeah. Well, it works now. So if you remember in the last episode, the primary objective was to upgrade the rate that we generate resources. So we crafted 2 more tier 2 ore drilling plants, and we took a trip to Deimos, one of Mars's moons, to place the miner. And I was relatively confident that we had everything set up correctly. And at the end of the last episode, I said this, and it stopped way sooner than I imagined it to. So I was building for hours, and I came and checked on this thing before I even started building, and we stopped getting resources. And I suspect that is because the gas turbine, we switched from HV to EV. The HV one has a fuel efficiency, as you can see here, of 85%. And if you go up to EV, like we use on the new multi-block miners, that's down to 60%. So what that means is it uses significantly more benzene, and we're only giving it 1 super tank, so I think that's the issue. Now, that was only a suspicion, and I had my doubts as to that being the cause of the stoppage in resources, and that totally wasn't the reason either. So, in between episodes, I went to investigate. I took a rocket once again back to Deimos, and it had stopped right enough, but not for the reason I thought. I was so tunnel visioned on the possibility of us running out of benzene that I was completely blind to the fact that it was the output bus. So it turns out that because we upgraded to the tier 2 ore drilling plant, we have the potential for more than 4 unique items to come out of the output. And because of the void nothing feature on the multi-block, we only had an LV output bus, which has 4 slots. Whenever the miner tried to output more than 4 slots, it just said, okay, no, I'm gonna stop, because you've told me to void nothing. I can't believe I never noticed that before, so I had to go back to the overworld, craft up some HV output buses, and return back to Deimos, and switch out the output bus with an HV output bus, which has 16 slots, and that is more than enough to handle the unique outputs of the multi-block ore drill, at least for each cycle, each operation. And before I returned to the miner, I also crafted up a metrics transmitter cover, and we got that placed on the multi-block miner controller. We'll come back to that cover in just a second, but I did also go ahead and place the second tier 2 multi-block miner also on on Deimos, the same planet we were on, along with the metrics transmitter cover. And check this out, we are now backed up in the input buffer to ore processing, so there's actually no need for us to... Actually, is this buffer full as well? Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. We're getting resources so fast now. Yeah, we're getting resources so fast that there's not actually any need for us to use the 3rd ore drilling plant until we can upgrade ore processing. But it is a work in progress. We're going to be slowly working towards the point we can do that. Oh, and also I did actually craft 2 more ender tanks. So because I had the suspicion that we'd run out of fuel, I wanted to craft some more of the ender tanks so that we can send benzene to the multi-block miner gas turbines and keep them fueled. So I was in the nether once again farming up some withers and yeah, putting together the IV components in Thaumcraft, and I think this is actually the first time we're crafting the ender tank as well. The previous ones have all came from loot bags, but yeah, we got those now for future multi-block miners. So right now there's, I think, 1 on the other planet which has the ender tank, and the other one just has a super tank on. But I doubled up the super tank, so we have like 8 million benzene given to the second tier 2 ore drilling plant, which should be enough to cover it for the full operation. Let's circle back to these metrics transmitter covers. So whenever you apply it to a controller, you get an advanced sensor card, and that is bound to the ore drilling plant, as you can see on the tooltip there. And I guess there's different frequencies. And apparently this works across dimensions, so similar to the multi-block battery here, we can also put down an advanced information panel and fit the sensor card inside, and it should give us information about our multi-block miner as to its status. So I think there's actually a way you can invert this panel, so you don't need a redstone signal. And oh yeah, look at that! That's awesome, it tells us the dimension it's in, the exact coordinates, the ores left in the current chunk, and I guess which chunk it's in. So it's mined 30 of 64 chunks. Okay, that is amazing. That is super duper amazing. And you can also, I was messing around with the screen a bit more on this multi-block battery. And you can customize it a lot. You can like change the font size, or change the text size, the screen color. Like, look at all this stuff, it's awesome. And you can also like change its rotation as well. Like, you can make it a thin a thin screen. Or like a flat screen. We can go back in time to like the 90s. Any of you guys remember the big CRT monitor? Yeah, CRTs, that's what they're called. Yeah, check this out. So you can like angle it as well. Like you can make it all sorts of funky shapes and customize it. So yeah, we've got 2 advanced information panels now for our multi-block miners. I think I did craft some spare as well, right? So yeah, we have 2 spare metrics transmitter covers here. And I'll have to craft up some more advanced information panels, which I guess we'll just do now. We should be able to request them. We're missing some sensors. We can craft those, no problem at all. It's just some LV components by now. So yeah, let's get these information panels crafted. So I made 4 of these transmitter covers. The 4th one is going to be placed in, well, somewhere you guys have probably forgotten about by now. I know I forgot about it until we were doing all the chemistry a couple of episodes ago, and we actually ran out of raw oil, which is essentially the input for all of the chemistry machines to make us things like polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, yeah, all of that stuff. So down here, in a little secret tunnel, we should come to our multi-block, what is it called? Multi-block fluid rig? I forget the name of it. Oil, gas, fluid drilling rig, this thing, and this thing is going to mine us raw oil. So similar to the ore situation in Gregtech, there's also a fluid, underground fluids here, and as you can see we're in a raw oil vein, So there's basically two reasons I can see why this might have stopped. Either we have run out of oil in the chunk. In fact, let's do some prospecting to see if it's empty. That should have updated the chunk. Oh yeah, you can see now that was at like 200 before, 200 litres. And the other thing is we've run out of benzene to fuel the gas turbine. I should have crafted some more ender tanks. Why did I only craft 2? Oh, we should have batch crafted. I should have batch crafted. I'm not going to craft another one right now. I'll do that at a later stage. But either way, we have to relocate this thing. Okay, so I went ahead and rebuilt the oil rig. We're just one chunk over, so we're in 175 litres. That should last us for a while, although we're going to be using raw oil much faster than we did before since we've upgraded our chemistry area. We need a muffler for this as well. But we should be getting raw oil. Yes, we are. That's going to go into this super tank. Let's make sure that we chunk load this as well, so we'll move it over a chunk. Yeah, I just refilled the super tank of benzene right now, so that should keep the gas turbine. And then this is MV, so it's a lot more efficient than the HV or EV gas turbines. So it should burn benzene much slower. But yeah, that ender chest there, or ender tank. Oh, wait a second, before we leave here, the whole reason I came over here in the first place was to place the Metrics transmitter cover, which is going to give us another sensor card, and it should be able to read out similar to the multi-block ore drills. As to the status of this thing, so I don't have to come and check it physically. We can check it from our base. So one of the other objectives for today, other than the controller rewire, is to have a place to put all of these advanced information panels. So I want to have them in the same room as the applied energistics terminals. So these things here, I mentioned at the end of the last episode, we're going to build like a central hub to the base where we can spend most of our time, where most of the terminals are going to be. We're going to have our information display panels there. I'm not sure exactly what else is going to be there. The ME controller for sure, but we'll have to think about what else we want in close proximity to, yeah, I guess like a central hub area in the base. And yeah, we can see here, I guess this gives us a bit more information. It gives us the fluid that it's mining. Yeah, again, the dimension, the coordinates, the pump rate, and the amount that it's pumping. Wait, is that? Oh, I guess that's per tick, and that's per operation. So it probably depends on the voltage that you run the machine at. Well, I know it depends on the voltage that you run the machine at. And, oh, our drill is offline. I wonder if that's just because it's backed up. That's probably what it is, right? It has to be that. But yeah, that ender tank connects over here to our chemistry setup. And that should have got this distillation tower running, and it is. Oh, this is so cool. So everything should start to spool up to life. We're going to get some more heavy fuel, light fuel, and naphtha. And then we're going to be distilling. Oh, this is so cool. And then we should get more LCRs turned on again. Oh, all this infrastructure is paying off. And we're going to be making more polyethylene. We're going to be making more acetone for epoxid. We're going to be making more polytetrafluoroethylene. Although I think most of the buffers are full. I have been crafting up quite a lot of circuits recently. So maybe some of them are empty. Yeah, silicon rubber. What else do we have here? Indium dust, sulfuric acid, iron 3 chloride. I suspect a lot of the buffers are full, but it's glorious to see everything come back to life again. Yeah, lots of the buffers are full or almost full. Yeah, 3.8 out of 4 million iron 3 chloride. Things are starting to fill back up. Yeah, you can see the light fuel and the naphtha enter in the system. PTFE is also full, which is awesome. However, one thing I noticed between episodes that we've now run out of, and we do not have automated yet, is a material called polyphenylene sulfide. And we have 82 foil left, plus I guess some crates. These I think you get from loot bags. Yeah, you get these things from loot bags, and we can send them through the unpackager. But polyphenylene sulfide is, the main use for this thing is to coat cable. So along with silicon rubber for all of the higher tier cables, I believe it's IV and above, IV tier cable and above, you need also polyphenylene sulfide foil to coat the cable. It's not just the rubber that you need. So we need this. This is very, very important. And cables are used in lots and lots of different recipes. They're used in like transformers and machines and lots of different stuff, not just for the cabling itself. So we were just batch crafting it, but I'm wondering if it's going to be possible for us just to fully automate this this fluid. It is crafted as a fluid, and then you fluid solidify into ingots and then into foil. So let's see, we need 1 LCR for oxygen plus dichlorobenzene plus sodium sulfide. So oxygen gas we do have in our system already, we have 63 million. So that should be easy enough to supply via applied energistics. We need to make dichlorobenzene, so let's pin this, and sodium sulfide. We don't have any of these automated, I don't think. Sodium sulfide we have a bit, I guess that's from when we batch crafted, but we don't have it automated. So to make sodium sulfide we need another large chemical reactor, sulfur plus sodium. And we also need dichlorobenzene, which is benzene chlorine, so that's 3 LCRs. Alright, well that wasn't too bad, and we now have 3 more chemical reactors. One making us sodium sulfide, one making us dichlorobenzene, and the third one making us polyphenylene sulfide. The machines have just stopped because the output buffer is full, which is exactly what we want to happen. But to run you through what we're doing here, we're taking sodium and sulfur and stocking it in an input bus. So this bottom machine here makes us the polyphenylene sulfide dust, and checking its uses. Its only use is to be chemical reacted into polyphenylene sulfide, or you can electrolyze, but this just gets you back to sodium sulfur dust. So because we don't need to stock it anywhere else, we're just passing it between 2 buses. So we're going output bus into input bus, and this is passed into the middle LCR. And we're doing a similar thing on the top there with the dichlorobenzene. So we're taking benzene chlorine, circuit number 2, supplied via a export bus. And when we do this, we also get a byproduct of hydrochloric acid, which is voided excess and also on low priority, so that if hydrochloric acid is requested anywhere else, it's going to try to pull from this buffer first, but we don't want it to stop the machine if we fill up on hydrochloric. So similar to the dust, we don't need to stock dichlorobenzene anywhere else, because again its only use is to be chemical reacted for polyphenylene sulfide, or electrolyzed back into its input ingredients. So again, we're just passing it between the 2 hatches. So both of those are passed into the middle LCR, so we have our dust on the bottom, we have our dichlorobenzene, we also feed it oxygen here via another fluid export bus. And so yeah, oxygen, dichlorobenzene and sodium sulfide is going to give us polyphenylene sulfide. And we also get a salt byproduct out of this as well, which is just being sent away to applied energistic storage here with the use of this output bus. So yeah, that's essentially the whole process. It's very, very simple to add LCRs for us now because we have all this infrastructure in place. However, as we saw, the only use for polyphenylene sulfide, there's no use for the fluid, so we have to fluid solidify. So ideally we want to do this passively, since we're stocking the fluid passively. And normally when I say there's only one use for a fluid or item, we could just do it on site next to the machine here, and put a little fluid solidifier and a bending machine here. And that's totally valid. I was actually going to do that. However, something else I always recommend and try to do is build in buffers whenever you do passive systems. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to add another super tank and buffer the fluid. I think I've already filtered this, right? Yeah, we don't want void overflow. And we'll add a storage bus. This will be on high priority and partitioned for polyphenylene sulfide. The only problem with doing that, we're out of space here on this side. So the problem with adding it here is we are out of channels on this P2P. It's unlinked because we have no more space on the AE controller. So I think we should move swiftly onwards to the main project for today, which is the Applied Energistics controller. So I do have a rough idea of what I want with this build. I really want like a big circle. And I think I'm also going to move it back a couple of chunks as well, just to give us some extra space. Because we are in the void dimension, we might as well make use of the space, and I think this is a bit too close. And I think I'm going to try to attempt to do some sort of domed roof on the top, maybe with the tinted glass so we can look down on the controller. Yeah, that's going to look pretty cool, I think. So I have some ideas. I'm just going to get to building here and see what we can do. And for the time being, I'm just going to batch craft the foil from polyphenylene sulfide. And potentially I'm also going to build a space for the fluid solidifier because we don't really have that capability at the moment. And I don't really want to stick it here next to the LCRs. Also, you might be able to hear in my voice that it's not doing the best. I think I'm maybe developing a cold here, which is it's not a good time. We have Gregtech to play, but yeah, I guess I can use this opportunity to forward plan a lot in the base and try to get a lot of building done. So that's exactly what I'm about to do right now. Oh snap. I don't know how many of you guys watch Etho, but I think he said in his most recent episode, or he was just chatting about how YouTubers will cut and do a full build and say, wow, here it is. And that's kind of what's happened here. But I just got in such a flow state. I had so much inspiration, so many ideas were flowing. So let's just do a little base tour and I'll show you guys some of the things that have changed. Since I did rebuild a few things once again. Again, I want to just make sure that this is the ultimate base. This is the ultimate threefold base. We are of course supporting home team colors. We have our pajamas on. Yep, we have the orange and blue, and it's almost perfect colors here. Look at this. It's almost perfect. I love it. I've also made the executive decision, by the way, that we're going to change our main applied energistics network color to orange. So you know how we had the red net before on like all the terminals and stuff? We used to have it as red net. We're now going to switch it to orange net. And that's going to come when we do the wiring, which I think is going to be next episode. Yeah, let's make this a bite-sized episode, because I know you guys are like kind of memeing in the comments, oh, Threefold said he wanted to make shorter episodes, and then he goes and makes hour-long. So I want to keep this nice and concise. But yeah, check this out. We've got our main ME terminal, our control room over here. We have also a space for the screens, and this fits perfectly. Unfortunately, it's not updating properly, and I think that has to do something with the chunk loading, or I don't know. I don't have the chunks loaded here, so I think it's when you unload the chunks, it just doesn't refresh properly, or when you're out of render distance, I guess. Maybe if you take the sensor card out. No, apparently it's still on. Do we have to turn it off and back on? Okay, it's broken. It's broken. I had to add a few range upgrades just to, like, yeah, put it in range of the capacitor, since the Lapitronic supercapacitor is in the other tower. And you might also spot some extra changes up here. So it's probably worth mentioning that I did go ahead and replace all of the yellow and the brown that was up here. You might remember it being a bit disgusting. I don't know what I was thinking with that block palette. I mean, it was alright, but it definitely does not fit with this base theme here. And yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to do with this place yet. We might still move the crops elsewhere. Although they're actually fine where they are. We just need to farm a lot more, so I don't know how big this place is eventually going to be. And speaking of bee, I might put bees up here as well, but I don't know if we have enough space to do bees here. I don't know, I'm really looking forward to doing bees. I haven't done forestry bees in forever, in many, many years. So yeah, we're definitely going to be doing bees. I have had a couple of you guys asking about bees. We're definitely going to be doing bees. I don't know if it's going to be up here though. How many times have I said bee in the last 2 sentences? Anyways, so yeah, we've got our control room here. Our main applied energistics controller is going to be down there. And it is a funny shape. I was just going to go with the regular cube shape. But that's a bit boring. So I wanted to go with something a bit interesting. And we'll talk about this next episode when we do all the wiring. I've been doing a lot of forward planning, some things which I've not actually built yet. But let me show you around the rest of this place. It looks like our miner has actually finished by now. No drilling fluid. Well, that I didn't expect to see. Hold on, we have to do some troubleshooting here. Let's just keep this rolling, keep the camera rolling. Normally I would cut here, but let's just see what's going on. We don't have any drilling fluid? Yeah, right enough, we don't have any drilling fluid. That was perfect timing for that. It looks like we're out of lubricant. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. We don't have lubricant being auto-supplied here. But we do have lubricant on passive, right? Maybe? 200 buckets. I don't remember if this is automated or if it's just a buffer that we have. Let's get a fluid export bus. Oh yeah, and I've been batch crafting a whole lot of fluix stuff and applied energistics material. We should have a ton of quartz fiber, and this stuff takes like forever to craft in the lathe. So I made sure to get like 1,000 of that and some cable. We have some in the chest, I think, in the void dimension. But yeah, let's get a fluid export bus on this. Actually, we don't need a super tank here, buffer. We can just send it straight into the mixer. So the recipe for drilling fluid is lubricant, stone dust, water. And so this, I think, is just going to be the last thing we need, and we're going to spaghetti wire it up. Some of them are trying to avoid, but we're going to do it here. So we want to filter in lubricant, right? Lubricant in here. And once that gets the channel, we should start getting... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're getting drilling fluid. The miner should be back online any second now. So I mentioned that we were crafting up the rest of the turbine blades for the turbine. And I did just go ahead and fill them into the multi-blocks here. So let's just do our first real world test. I just checked the wiring for the third time. There's always something you miss. But we did switch out the dynamo hatch up there for an energy hatch. We should just be able to override the signal here and turn on the turbines. Oh yeah, I added some travel anchors. So we got one in the control room, we got one for the portals, and we got one for the supercapacitor right now. And I think there's an extra one down here. Yeah, just next to the controller. So the turbines should be on by now, and I don't hear any explosions, which is a very good sign. Oh yeah, nice. So how much EU are we generating by now? I think each one is 7,950, right? 7,956 times 15? There's a way you can do math expressions inside the applied energistics terminal, if I remember correctly. Like when you're requesting something, you can do 7,956, was that the number? Times 15? Oh, this is actually going to be an inaccurate example because we have these to craft like 256 at a time in the recipe. Let's find something that we craft only one at a time. Like the interface, 7,956 times 15. Oh my goodness, that is a that is a lot of materials to craft that many interfaces. But this is how much EU we're generating. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. 119,000. So maybe it was accurate the first time. It's only going to be off by a little bit. But yeah, 119,340 EU a tick with all the turbines running. Let's also disable that or invert the redstone latch again. Yeah, because this thing is almost going to be full. 3 billion out of 4.2. Yeah, so we'll let the redstone latch do its thing here. Actually, I guess we can leave these here. I need to also move these turbines forward, and that's just because of the chunk boundaries. So if we place them in the same location on this side, leaving one block gap after the black block, because they're 4 blocks long, it's going to cross the chunk boundary. So I brought them all forward a block here on the other side, and I need to do it with those turbines there. I think it's okay. It's not too cramped with them right up against the path like this. And eventually we might actually move the turbines. I'm not entirely sure yet. Like when we switch to plasma, because those are going to be a bit bigger. So I'm not really sure where we're going to place those yet. So we might move power elsewhere, especially when we start to get laser hatches and stuff. But we'll go over that whenever we cross that bridge. So coming back to the AE controller room, I also built a space underneath as well. So I wanted to add at least a bit more vertical height into the base, and not just make it a completely flat, although most of it is going to be completely flat, to be honest with you. But I did add a couple of staircases here, which lead us down to the bottom of the circle. And then off on each side, so north and south, we have some extra small rooms. And I'm thinking that this is where we're going to place the crafting CPUs? I couldn't think of the word there. Yeah, we'll have the crafting CPUs probably on like some slabs here, I'm thinking. And maybe make them like 2x2 or 2x3. Something like that. Eventually we'll outgrow this place and we'll have to expand the room, but we have plenty of room to expand this way and down, left and right. We have lots and lots of room to expand, but this will be enough for the foreseeable future, that's for sure. And I have the same thing on the other side here as well. It's just almost an identical room. I just kept it nice and simple. That's one of the philosophies I wanted to stay true to, is just to keep it simple. But I think it's simple and effective. Yeah, honestly, when you really boil this down, it's just a couple of circles and flat walls. It's actually nothing special, but I think when you put everything together, it really does work. I was experimenting here with some neonite as well. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to keep this here. It's a bit too much. So I was very, very careful with these neonite covers. So probably the first thing you guys noticed was the lighting, or supposed lighting, with the neonite covers up there. We got them like all the way throughout the base, through all of the main walkways. And this is a block called neonite, and it's basically just a flat lighting block. It doesn't actually emit any light, so if we turn off the night vision and place it in the dark, it doesn't actually light the blocks around it, it's just the block itself. But I use that to our advantage to create like spotlights or strip lighting across the ceiling. Maybe you guys can let me know if I went a bit overboard here, but we also got it in the data drives. I want to be really careful with how much of this we use, because too much of this, and one, it kills the FPS, and two, it draws your attention away from the important parts of the base. So yeah, I think that's just about all there is to see. A lot of the rest of it is just self-explanatory. I did go ahead and finish off the chemical factory here. I'm not so sure about this orange strip, this orange band. I might switch that out for glass, but we have a lot of glass as it is, and especially on this domed roof. It's not quite a domed roof like I first envisioned it to be, but I think it works all the same. I wanted to keep it fairly monotone because remember, once we have the AE controller down there, there's going to be flashing lights and colored cable, and it's going to get crazy. So I wanted to try to keep things intentionally quite simplistic in the block choices, so a lot of it is very monochromatic, which I actually quite like. Yeah, I'm not so sure if we're going to keep blue up here. I might switch it to a different color. Yeah, leave your cable suggestion colors in the comment section, and any other thoughts you might have about this base so far. But yeah, remember, this is just the beginning, and this is going to be like, dare I say it, my favorite base I've ever put together. At least for me. You guys might have preferred it the other way, and that's totally valid. I think we're going to wrap up this episode right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I apologize for my voice. It's still not 100%, and I still might be developing something. I feel fine, honestly. I feel actually alright. It's just, yeah, you can hear it when you listen back to the recording. It's not ideal. Oh yeah, and this thing here, the Tier 7 rocket, this is where we're heading. So I discovered an extra little quirk of the information panel. Apparently you can hide it completely, and you can make the panel completely invisible, like that, which I thought was pretty cool. This is a little text card. Yeah, I thought it was appropriate to write Tier 7 to remind us this is where we're going, this is our North Star, and this base is going to get us there. I am confident of that. So before this ends up too long, I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll be back with the Rewire next episode and more Gregtech shenanigans.